The engines of 20 motorcycles thundered through the early morning fog as the sun struggled to rise over the two-lane highway, cutting through the quiet Colorado foothills. Their tires hummed against the asphalt, their jackets slapped in the cold wind, and their presence alone, black leather, chrome, and raw attitude made every passing driver pull slightly to the side. But none of them paid attention to the world around them. Their leader, Raven, a sharp-jawed woman with steel-gray eyes and long black braids whipping behind her, rode at the front, focused, steady, commanding. Her girls followed like a wall of synchronized shadows. It was supposed to be an ordinary ride, a simple charity run, nothing more. But fate never asked permission. At the same time, a single father named Cole Walker sat inside an old, dusty Jeep pulled over on the shoulder several miles ahead. His daughter, Lily, 7 years old, brown hair, bright eyes, sat in the back seat clutching a stuffed wolf whose seams were held together by more thread than fabric. Cole leaned against the steering wheel and closed his eyes for a moment, chest rising in a long, weary breath. He looked like a man who had fought every battle except the one inside him. The Marine Corps tattoo on his forearm, an eagle, globe, and anchor, peeked out from beneath his faded flannel sleeve. It had once been sharp, proud, the mark of a man unbreakable. Now it was worn like the rest of him, battered, faded, carrying stories his lips no longer told. Lily leaned forward. "Daddy, are you okay?" He forced a smile. "Always, Bug. Just giving the Jeep a moment. She's tired. Just like me," he thought. A buzzing vibration shook the air long before the motorcycles came into view. Cole straightened, glancing in the mirror. Lily pressed her face against the window. The sound grew louder, deeper, rolling like a storm down the highway. 20 bikers emerged through the thinning fog, their chrome flashing, their jackets marked with crimson wings and the words, "Sisters of Havoc." They were all women, strong, fierce, and unafraid of the world. The kind most people stepped out of the way for without thinking. They rode past at first, and then abruptly every single bike slowed. Engines rumbled in disjointed rhythm. Tires screeched. One by one they circled the Jeep like wolves around a wounded animal, surrounding it but not threatening, alert, observant, curious. Lily's eyes widened. "Daddy, why are they stopping?" Cole opened his door cautiously and stepped out. He wasn't afraid. He had seen war, seen chaos, seen men who wanted to kill him, but this was different, unexpected. Raven removed her helmet first. Her braids fell out like a sudden shadow behind her. She swung off her bike and walked toward him. Her girls watched silently, engines still idling, jackets rustling. Cole raised his hand slightly, not in fear but confusion. "Everything all right?" he asked. Raven didn't answer at first. Her gaze wasn't on his face. It drifted to his left forearm, where the Marine Corps tattoo caught the pale morning light. Her expression froze. The world around her blurred. The engines faded. Her throat tightened. Cole noticed her stare and instinctively tugged his sleeve down. Embarrassed. It's old, faded, nothing special. But Raven didn't hear that. She whispered, voice trembling. "Where did you serve?" Cole blinked, unsure why her tone changed. "2nd Battalion, 4th Marines. The magnificent bastards. Afghanistan mostly, a little everywhere." The other bikers exchanged looks. Raven stepped closer, slowly, as if approaching a ghost. "What's your name?" "Cole Walker." Raven took in a breath so sharp it visibly shook her shoulders. "I knew a Walker," she said softly. "A Marine, my brother. Carter Walker." Cole froze. His heartbeat stalled. Lily leaned out the window, confused by the sudden tension. Cole swallowed hard. "Carter was your brother?" Raven nodded slowly, painfully. Cole's voice dropped into a tone only Marines used when speaking names carved into the deepest part of their soul. "He saved my life." The rumble of 20 engines suddenly felt like silence. Raven's eyes filled, but no tears fell. She was too strong for that. She had built an entire life on not crying. But the name, the tattoo, the man standing in front of her, it created a crack she couldn't hide. She whispered, Tell me what happened. No one ever told me the truth." Cole's jaw tightened. Memories surged, the heat, the blast, the screams, the dust that filled their lungs. The bikers rushed forward, steadying her. But she lifted a hand. She stood on her own. She always had. The engines quieted. The world dimmed. Nothing existed except Cole's trembling voice and Raven's breaking heart. Finally, when he finished, when the truth lay open and bleeding between them, Raven straightened. She walked to him, and then something shocked everyone, even Cole. She snapped into a perfect Marine Corps salute. Her girls followed one by one, 20 fierce women raising their hands in flawless formation. Cole stared, stunned, breath stolen from his chest. Raven held the salute for a long moment. When she lowered it, her voice cracked in a way no one had heard before. "You're family now." Then she knelt in front of Lily, her normally sharp expression softening. "Your dad is a hero, not because of the tattoo, but because he came home when my brother didn't." Lily nodded slowly, trying to understand, squeezing her father's hand. Raven stood and turned to her riders. "We're escorting them," she ordered. "Wherever they need to go, however long it takes." The women roared in agreement. Cole shook his head in disbelief. "I don't need—" But Raven cut him off. "You're getting it, and you deserve far more." She placed a hand over his tattoo, gently, reverently. "I recognize the ink," she said softly, "but I recognize the pain even more." Cole closed his eyes briefly. For the first time in years, someone saw him, truly saw him, and the engines of 20 bikes waited for his next breath. The sun finally rose behind them, warm, bright, gentle, almost like Carter was watching. The road stretched out in front of them like a ribbon of faded gray, and for the first time since he left the Marines, Cole wasn't traveling it alone. 20 motorcycles formed a protective circle around his old Jeep, 8 in front, 8 behind, 4 on each side. Their engines growled in a steady rhythm, not threatening but reassuring, like a heartbeat keeping him grounded. Lily had her face glued to the window, marveling at the convoy. Every few minutes she pointed excitedly at the riders flanking them, and some of the women waved back or popped small tricks with their bikes, just to make her giggle. Cole watched her reflection in the side mirror. That sound, her laughter, was the only thing that had kept him going. After the nightmares, the hospital lights, and the years of trying to be both mom and dad with half a heart left inside him, Raven rode at the front, her silhouette rigid, determined, thoughtful. She had barely spoken since hearing the story. Some wounds weren't loud, some were silent and endless, but every time she glanced at her rearview mirror and saw Cole, something softened in her expression, something like a promise. They rode until they reached a small diner on the edge of town. It was the kind of place truckers liked, with mismatched wooden signs and a flickering open 24 hours, light that buzzed even when the sun was bright. Raven cut her engine, and the rest followed one after another, until the air settled into quiet. Cole parked beside them, unsure if he should step out or wait for instructions. Lily hopped out instantly, stretching her arms wide. "Daddy, they have pancakes, I can smell them," she shouted. One of the bikers laughed. She was blonde, tattooed, and tough-looking, yet her smile came easy. "The kid's got a good nose. That's Rosie's famous cinnamon pancakes." She knelt to Lily's level. "Ever had biker pancakes?" Lily shook her head. "Well, today's your lucky day." Cole approached carefully, feeling out of place among so many strangers who seemed more like a family than a club. Raven stepped toward him. "Come inside," she said quietly. "You and Lily are eating with us." He hesitated. "I don't want to be a burden." Her eyes hardened for a moment. "If you were a burden, we would have left you on the highway." One of the women added, "We don't stop for just anyone. We stopped because you matter." Cole didn't know how to absorb that. Words like that weren't meant for men like him, men who carried guilt like a second skin. But Lily tugged on his hand with a big smile. "Daddy, come on." And he followed. The diner owner, Rosie, was a woman in her 60s with silver, hair tied into a bandana and arms, stronger than most men. When she saw Raven walk in with her 20 bikers and a Marine veteran with a little girl, she didn't even blink. "Breakfast or healing?" she asked Raven. "Both," Raven replied simply. Rosie nodded and motioned them to the largest booth, then started yelling at the cooks like a general. Demanding reinforcements. Cole sat with Lily beside him. The booth filled quickly, Raven on one side, 2 other women squeezing in beside her. The rest took the surrounding tables but angled their chairs so they faced the booth, creating a silent perimeter. Lily didn't notice the heaviness around her. She dipped crayons from the diner's basket into a coloring page and hummed. Raven watched her for a moment before turning to Cole. Did Lily know you served? She knows I was a Marine, he replied, but not the details. She's too young. You're protecting her, Raven murmured. That's what Marines do. Cole stared at his coffee. But I couldn't protect Carter. The table fell silent. Raven leaned forward. My brother died saving someone. He didn't die alone. He didn't die afraid. Her voice thickened. You were there. You came home. That means his sacrifice mattered. Cole's jaw clenched. He shouldn't have had to make that choice. Raven shook her head. Every Marine makes that choice before they step on the plane. Carter made peace with it long before the day he saved you. Cole looked away, blinking hard. Lily reached across the table and put a crayon in his hand. Color with me, Daddy. Raven watched the small moment and felt her chest tighten. Not with grief this time, but with something unfamiliar. The sight of a hardened Marine veteran drawing a silly, crooked rainbow for his daughter stirred something inside her she didn't want to examine too closely. Breakfast arrived like a feast. Plates stacked with pancakes, bacon, eggs, toast, fruit. The diner filled with warmth and chatter, the kind that wraps around a person like a blanket they didn't know they needed. Halfway through the meal, one of the bikers, Vixen, leaned toward Cole. You said you were heading somewhere before we found you. Cole nodded. Job interview. Mechanic shop a few towns over. If I get it, I can finally stop doing odd jobs. He glanced at Lily. She deserves something steady. Raven exchanged looks with her women, silent but loud with meaning. What? Cole asked, confused. Raven crossed her arms on the table. We know that shop. Owner's a jerk. Doesn't hire vets. Brags about it. Her expression darkened. You're not going there. Cole frowned. I don't have many options. You do now, Raven said firmly. My club has a mechanic garage. Big one. Busy. We can use a trained Marine who knows discipline and engines. Cole blinked. You're offering me a job? Not a handout, she corrected. A place to start again. He opened his mouth, then closed it. Gratitude tangled with disbelief. Before he could respond, Lily hopped up in excitement. Daddy, you can fix bikes. Then they can take me on a ride. The table erupted in laughter. Raven smiled, really smiled for the first time that morning. She's already one of us, she said. Then she turned to Cole, voice lowering. You both are. Cole exhaled slowly. The weight he had carried for years hadn't vanished, but it had shifted, lightened. Something inside him cracked open, letting air in where there had been none. After breakfast, they walked outside together. The sun had warmed the chrome on the bikes. Raven stood by her ride, helmet under her arm, watching him. You good to drive? She asked. For the first time in a long time, he answered. She nodded once. We roll together. Nobody touches you. Nobody messes with you. You're under our protection now. Cole raised an eyebrow. Is that really necessary? Raven gave a humorless smile. The world doesn't get nicer just because you survived war. Behind them, Lily sat on the back of one of the bikes as another biker held her steady, letting her pretend she was riding. Her laughter echoed through the parking lot. Cole watched her and felt his heart swell. Raven watched him watching her, and something in her chest shifted again. Small but undeniable. We'll head to the garage, she said. Show you the place. See if it feels right. Cole nodded. Lead the way. Raven smirked. I always do. 20 engines roared to life again, shaking the pavement. Raven pulled up beside his window and knocked on the door. When he rolled it down, she rested her forearm on the edge, her Marine tattoo catching the sunlight. One more thing, Cole. He looked at her. Raven's voice softened. My brother didn't just save a Marine out there. He saved a father Lily desperately needs. Cole swallowed hard. Then Raven lifted her visor, locked eyes with him and whispered, You don't owe us anything, but you owe yourself a chance. And with that, she revved her engine and the convoy rolled out, 20. Bikers and a single dad veteran, following behind them, not knowing that what waited ahead would change all their lives forever. The ride to the Sisters of Havoc garage took them through bending mountain roads, the kind that rose and fell like rolling breaths of the earth. The convoy moved as one body, Raven at the front, her braids flying, her bike confident and unshakable. Cole followed in the middle of the formation, and though he held the steering wheel with both hands, His eyes kept returning to the rearview mirror, to the women behind him, riding in perfect formation. There was something undeniably powerful about it. He spent years fighting beside men who never broke rank. Now he watched 20 women do the same with grace, precision and loyalty strong enough to see through steel. Lily pressed her face against the window again, waving enthusiastically every time one of the bikers glanced her way. The women took turns riding closer to her side, revving their engines just enough to make her jump and then giggle. She was happier than she had been in months. Cole felt something unfamiliar, peace creeping back into his life, like sunlight through a cracked door. They eventually turned off the main road and rolled down a long gravel driveway, lined with pine trees. At the end stood a massive repurposed warehouse with a neon sign flickering. Havoc Garage. Custom bikes, repairs, rides, family. Cole slowed, trying to take in everything at once. The building's metal doors were painted black and red, with a giant pair of flaming wings stretching across them. The sides of the garage were covered in murals, strong women riding through storms, hands gripping handlebars, fire in their eyes. It didn't feel like a workshop. It felt like a fortress. Raven stopped her bike and lifted her helmet off, shaking out her braids. The other women parked in 2 long rows, forming a kind of welcoming corridor. Cole got out of his Jeep, his boots crunching on gravel. Lily jumped out right after him and bolted toward the murals, pointing excitedly. "Daddy, look. That one looks like Miss Raven." Raven turned, amused. "Great, now she'll tell everyone she found my portrait." One of the bikers snorted. She's not wrong. Inside, the garage buzzed with energy, tools clinking, welding sparks flying, music playing in the background. A few mechanics, mostly women but not exclusively, paused when they saw the convoy arrive. Their expressions shifted from confusion to recognition. They knew Raven never brought outsiders unless it mattered. Lily ran to a red bike propped on a stand. "It's shiny." Cole gently pulled her back. "Don't touch anything, Bug." A tattooed woman with teal hair approached them. She had a wrench tucked behind her ear like a pencil and grease on her cheek. "She can look," she said with a crooked grin. "Just don't let her lick the chrome." Lily gasped. "People lick bikes?" The woman smirked. "Only the weird ones." Cole chuckled under his breath. Something about this place felt alive, warm, familiar in a way he hadn't expected. Like the first safe room after years of chuckled under his breath. Something about this place felt alive, warm, familiar in a way he hadn't expected. Like the first safe room after years of sleeping with his boots on. Raven strode toward him, hands in her jacket pockets. "Let me show you the shop area." As they walked, she pointed out each section. Custom builds on one side, general repairs on the other, storage for parts, welding stations, and even a small corner dedicated to memorial plaques. Cole slowed when he saw them. Engraved names, dates, patches, folded flags. Brothers and sisters of the road they had lost. Raven followed his gaze. "We honor our dead," she said quietly. "We ride with them. We don't pretend they didn't exist." He nodded slowly. "Marines do the same." "Yes," she murmured. "I know." She stopped in front of an empty workstation. Clean counter. Polished tools, rollaway cabinet. "This one's open," she said. "Yours if you want it." Cole looked around. "Raven, are you sure about this? You barely know me." She stepped closer. "I know enough." Her eyes traveled to his tattoo, then to Lily, wandering around the garage with 2 bikers guarding her like she was royalty. "You're not looking for a handout. You're looking for a chance," Raven said, "and we don't give chances lightly." Cole swallowed. "You're offering me a job?" "I'm offering you a family," she corrected. He didn't have words for that, not yet. Before he could respond, Lily's excited yell echoed through the garage. "Daddy, look." "I'm riding!" Cole hurried over, alarmed, but then he stopped. 2 bikers had lifted Lily onto the seat of a small custom bike. It wasn't a toy. It was a real machine, but scaled smaller, like it had been built for a teenager. Raven approached behind him. "That belonged to Carter," she said softly. "He rebuilt it when he came home the first time. Planned on teaching a kid how to ride someday." Lily swung her legs, pretending to steer. "I like it." Cole froze, throat tightening. "Raven, I can't let her. This is your brother's." Raven placed a hand on his arm. "He would have wanted someone to use it," she said. "Someone who makes the world a little brighter." Lily grinned proudly as the bikers clapped. Raven watched her, then looked at Cole. "She's strong," she said. "Just like her father." Cole inhaled sharply, caught off guard by the warmth in her voice. A sudden horn blared from outside, short, sharp, panicked. The entire garage fell silent in an instant. Raven straightened. Her face shifted from soft to steel. The bikers moved fast, boots pounding the concrete. Two women lifted Lily off the bike and shielded her immediately. Cole's instincts kicked in. He rushed to Lily, grabbing her close. Raven signaled with her fingers. Formation tightened. The women surrounded the entrance, ready. Cole tensed. What's happening? Raven didn't answer at first. She was staring toward the parking lot, jaw tightening. A pickup truck had pulled up fast. Too fast, breaking inches from the garage door. 3 men stepped out, wearing patches from a rival group Cole didn't recognize. One of them spit on the ground. "We heard you brought home a Marine," he sneered. "And we heard the name Walker." Raven stepped forward slowly, her leather jacket catching the wind like wings. "And what of it?" she said. The man smirked. "Your brother cost us a lot of money years back. And now you're sheltering the man he saved?" Cole stiffened. Raven didn't blink. "You boys," she said in a low, deadly tone, "just made the worst mistake of your lives." The men laughed, but the sound faded quickly when 20 bikers stepped beside, Raven in a wall of leather, metal, and silent fury. Cole pushed Lily behind him, ready to fight, though he had no idea what he was up against. Raven lifted her chin, eyes cold enough to freeze fire. "You want him?" she said. Silence thickened. "Then you go through me." The men exchanged glances, but something on Cole's arm caught the leader's eye. Carter's tattoo. His smirk vanished. "That's Carter's unit," he muttered. "You ran with Carter Walker?" Cole glared. "I did more than run with him." A moment of hesitation flickered across the man's face. Then fear. Real fear. He backed away, hands raised. We're not looking for trouble." Raven stepped closer, voice cutting like a blade. "Then leave before trouble finds you." The men scrambled back into their truck and drove off fast, gravel spraying behind them. The garage was silent. Raven turned, her breathing steady but her eyes still burning. She faced Cole. "You're safe here," she said. For the first time since he came home from war. He believed it. The tension in the garage slowly unwound, like the last echo of a storm fading beyond the mountains. The growl of the rival truck faded until it was nothing but a ghost on the wind. Raven exhaled, the anger in her shoulders easing, but the sharpness in her eyes remained. She scanned the perimeter once more before nodding to her riders. "Secure the gate," she said. 2 women sped off toward the front of the property. Others dispersed to check cameras, lock doors, and tighten the perimeter. These weren't ordinary bikers, these were women who had survived. Things most people wouldn't dare imagine. They were protectors by nature, warriors by choice. Cole held Lily close as her small heart fluttered against his chest. "Daddy," she whispered, frightened. "Who were those men?" He smoothed her hair, trying to steady his voice. "Just people who made a bad decision, Bug. You're safe." Raven approached quietly. Lily reached for her before she even said a word. Raven lowered herself to one knee and gently took Lily's little hand. "No one will come near you," Raven said firmly. "Ever. You have 20 big sisters now." She tapped Lily's nose. "And one very mean leader who scares away the bad people." Lily giggled nervously, and the ripple of relief moved through Cole's body like warm water. Raven rose and met Cole's eyes. "Let's talk," she said. He nodded, setting Lily down, with 2 bikers who were already distracting her with a paint marker and a spare piece of chrome to draw on. Raven gestured toward the far end of the garage, where a small office overlooked the workshop floor through a long window. Inside, the office was surprisingly neat. Metal filing cabinets, a battered wooden desk, a corkboard filled with maps, schedules, and photos of rides. One picture caught Cole's eye. It was Carter, younger than he remembered, smiling wider than he ever saw him smile overseas, his arm around Raven, both of them standing in front of the same garage. Cole's chest tightened. Raven followed his gaze. "That was right before he deployed. He told me he'd be back in time for our big canyon run." Her voice lowered. "He didn't make it." Cole swallowed, struggling with the guilt that never left him. "I tried to pull him out," he whispered. "I swear, Raven, She lifted her hand gently, stopping him. "Cole, I don't blame you." Her voice softened in a way he hadn't yet heard. "I don't think I ever did." He looked at her, surprised. She leaned against the desk, arms crossed, posture firm but heart unguarded. "Carter made choices. His choices saved lives. One of those lives is standing in my garage, holding on to a daughter who needs him. After a long moment, she added, he didn't die for nothing. Cole's breath shook. For years he had carried the belief that he wasn't worth the sacrifice. But now for the first time he saw a crack in that belief. Raven continued, those men today, they weren't after you. They were after the Walker name. My brother disrupted a lot of illegal trade years back, not out of duty, out of principle. He was always trying to fix the world, even when it didn't want fixing. Her jaw clenched faintly. Some people still have grudges. Cole nodded slowly. And now they know I'm connected to you. Good, she said without hesitation. Let them try something stupid. They'll be dealing with all of us. He couldn't help it, he smiled. Raven looked at the smile for a second too long, then looked away abruptly, clearing her throat. We should get you settled. You and Lily need a place to stay tonight. Cole stiffened. We can get a motel. Raven arched a brow. With what money? He opened his mouth, then closed it. She was right. Things had been tight, too tight. We have rooms above the garage, she said. They're for riders who need rest after long trips or anyone who needs refuge. Cole hesitated. I don't want to take a bed from your people. Raven stepped closer, gaze steady. You're one of my people now. The words hit harder than he expected. Before he could respond, a knock sounded at the office door. Vixen leaned in. Boss, you should see this. Raven straightened. What now? Vixen led them out to the garage floor. Several bikers stood around. Lily, who was smiling, proudly while holding something. Shiny and oh no, something. Clearly removed from Raven's personal bike. Raven froze. Lily, sweetheart. What is that? Lily lifted the object above her head with both hands. Miss Raven, I fixed your bike, look. Cole paled. The bikers covered their mouths to hide laughter. Raven slowly approached, expression unreadable. She looked at the piece, a loosened chrome panel from the side of her engine. Fixed it? Raven asked carefully. Lily nodded enthusiastically. I made it prettier. She pointed at her handiwork. The chrome panel was now covered with hand-drawn stars, hearts, and a slightly wobbly but adorable wolf, the same as her stuffed toy. Cole braced himself. I'm so sorry. But Raven's face softened into something warm and unexpected. She knelt, taking the panel from Lily gently. It's perfect, Raven said. Absolutely perfect. Lily glowed with pride. Vixen elbowed another biker. Boss is getting soft. Raven shot her a glare.
Say that again and you're riding the canyon blindfolded.
The women snorted. Then Raven turned back to Cole. Come on. Let me show you your room. They climbed a metal staircase to the loft above the garage. The space was surprisingly homey. Exposed wooden beams, warm lighting, a common lounge, and several clean bedrooms that looked far more inviting than anything in town. Raven opened one door. This one has 2 beds, she said. You and Lily can stay here. Cole walked inside, taking in the neatly made beds, the blankets folded at perfect right angles, the small window overlooking the pines outside. It's more than I expected, he said. Raven leaned against the doorframe. We take care of our own. I told you. Lily jumped onto the bed immediately. Daddy, it's soft. Cole chuckled softly. Good test, Bug. Raven watched him for a moment, something soft in her eyes. Then she spoke in a quiet voice. Cole, you don't have to sleep with the lights on here. His breath caught. How did she know? She gestured toward the garage below where 20 women moved like a single machine. You're safe, she said again. Believe it, even if it takes time. He nodded slowly, feeling something inside him settle like a soldier's boots finally hitting home soil. Raven pushed off the doorframe. Get some rest. Dinner's at 7. Don't be late. As she walked away, Cole felt the weight of years begin to lift. Not completely, but enough for him to breathe. He sat on the bed, watched Lily bounce happily, and looked around the small room that suddenly felt like the first real home they'd had in years. Then he whispered to himself, Thank you, Carter. Outside, the engines of the Sisters of Havoc roared to life again, not for battle, but for protection. Cole listened, and for the first time since he left war behind, the sound didn't trigger panic. It felt like a promise. The rest of the night unfolded with a strange, quiet kind of intensity, the kind that happens when 2 worlds collide and everyone feels it. A few bikers drifted away to take calls or smoke near the parking lot fence, but most stayed close, still hovering around Daniel as if protecting him from something none of them could name. Ember stayed closest, her stance firm, her eyes studying him with a mix of worry, respect, and a strange softness she clearly wasn't used to showing. Daniel sat on the curb with Mia leaning against his side, half asleep. The little girl's tiny hand was curled into the fabric of his sleeve, as if holding on to him anchored her to the world. Ember finally lowered herself beside them, not close enough to intrude, but close enough that her leather jacket nearly brushed Daniel's elbow. "You okay?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Yeah, just not used to being recognized." She let out a soft chuckle. It wasn't recognition. It was respect. Difference matters. He didn't argue, though a faint smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Ember noticed it. Her own expression shifted, lighter, softer. "Your tattoo," she said quietly, almost reverently. "Your unit? They saved my convoy once." She looked toward the parked motorcycles, her voice steady but thick. "My little brother was 18. They brought him home." Daniel stiffened slightly. "What was his name?" "Cole," she whispered. "Private Cole Rayner." Daniel inhaled sharply. "I remember him," he said. "He kept giving everyone gum during the haul-out." He smiled faintly, said it helped with fear. Her breath hitched, but she didn't cry. Ember wasn't the type. Instead, she nodded slowly, deeply, as if the puzzle piece she had been carrying in her pocket for 10 years finally fell into place. Mia stirred, her small voice muffled.
Daddy, can we go home?
Daniel brushed hair from her forehead. "Soon, sweetheart." Ember watched them silently. Something changed in her eyes, not pity, not admiration, something deeper. A recognition that this man, sitting exhausted on a curb with his sleeping daughter, was the reason her brother got to live 6 more months, the reason her family got to say goodbye properly. "I want to help you," Ember said suddenly. Daniel blinked. "Help me? You're a single dad. You're a veteran and..." She paused, glancing at Mia. "You're doing everything alone. That ends tonight." He raised an eyebrow. "Ember, You're not refusing." "We're bikers, not options," she said flatly. "We're showing up." Across the lot, one of the bikers shouted, "Boss! You want us to roll back with them?" Ember turned her head and yelled back, "Not yet!" "Give me a minute." Daniel rubbed his face. "Look, I appreciate it, but I don't want to be someone's charity case." Her jaw tightened. "This isn't charity. This is brothers and sisters in arms business. Marines, Army, whatever. We take care of our own." He looked at her. She didn't blink. "We're fixing your life," she said. "That's final." He almost laughed, partly because she sounded like a sergeant, partly because he hadn't heard anyone speak to him like that since deployment. "Okay," he exhaled. "Okay. But one step at a time." Ember nodded, satisfied. "Tomorrow morning we're bringing groceries to your place." "That's a big step," he muttered. "Fine," she amended. "Half the groceries." He shook his head, still smiling. A few bikers wandered back toward them, stretching from the long ride, waiting for Ember's signal. The engines glimmered under the streetlights, glossy, powerful, intimidating, but the atmosphere wasn't rough anymore. It felt strangely warm. "Daddy?" Mia whispered again, barely awake. "Who are they?" Daniel smiled softly, running a hand along her back. "They're friends," he said. Ember's face softened at the word. A biker named Raven stepped closer. "Boss, we escorting them home or what?" Ember stood, stretching her neck, her long red braid falling over her shoulder. "No escort," she said. "We're escorting her home." She pointed gently at Mia. "Kids get priority." The entire group nodded like she'd delivered an order from the heavens. Daniel rose to his feet with Mia in his arms. "You guys really don't have to." "We do," Ember cut in. "For Cole, for you, for her." And then, for the first time since Daniel met her, she smiled. Not the tough biker leader smirk, but a real warm human smile. "Let's get you both home, Marine." Engines fired up one by one, rumbling loudly through the night. Cars around the Engines fired up one by one, rumbling loudly through the night. Cars around the lot vibrated from the power of it. People in the distance turned to look, but no one approached. The presence of 20 bikers was a wall nothing would try to cross. Daniel carried Mia to his truck. Ember walked at his side, silent but solid. When he buckled Mia in, Ember leaned against the doorframe, watching the little girl with a tenderness hidden under layers of leather and steel. She's lucky, Ember said softly. To have you. Daniel shut the door gently. I'm lucky to have her. Ember looked at him, and for one tense, quiet moment, the world shrank to the two of them. A broken Marine father, a hardened biker leader, meeting somewhere in the middle of survival and fate. Let's ride, she finally said. Daniel got into his truck. Ember swung her leg over her motorcycle. 20 engines thundered in unison. The night lit up with headlights. Daniel pulled onto the road, and 20 bikers formed a perfect protective circle around him. 2 in front, 3 behind. The rest split into 2 walls of roaring engines on both sides. People on the sidewalk stopped to stare. Cars slowed. Phones came out. Because it wasn't every day that 20 bikers escorted a tired single dad and his sleeping daughter home like a presidential convoy. Daniel felt it in his chest. Safety, honor, family. When they reached his small house on the edge of town, Ember parked her bike and walked up to him as he unbuckled Mia. We're coming back tomorrow, she said. Be ready. He smiled. Yes, ma'am. She smirked. Don't ma'am me. Makes me sound old. Okay, he laughed. Yes, Ember. She nodded once and turned to leave and then paused. Hey. He looked up. You're one of us now. The convoy roared as the bikers turned their engines back on. Ember swung onto her bike, gave him one last look. Steady, sure meaningful, then kicked off. The 20 bikes rolled away as one. Engines echoing through the entire neighborhood like a promise. Daniel stood in the doorway with Mia asleep in his arms, watching the taillights disappear into the night. For the first time in a long time, he didn't feel alone.